All right, everybody. Hi. Good morning. It's getting light outside for the first time ever here. Can you feel your body? Can you feel your emotions? I mean, it's funny that this is even a question, kind of, if you think about it. Because, like, why would we cut ourselves off from that? Or why would we be cut off? I don't know if we're, consciously ever choosing that. It's like, this is our feeling, the way we feel. This is our body. This is like what we are. Why on earth, if you just look at the very basic thing, why would we ever be cut off from that? That is like our experience. That's our thing. Like, do you think any like animal or any like being out there is cut off from how they feel? Like, that is such a weird concept, even like a weird thing to even say. Like, why don't we just feel the way we feel? Like, yeah, obviously, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling this way. That's how I feel. It's my response to everything. That's my current state. I feel some emotion, or I feel tired, or I feel very energetic. I feel whatever. But for myself, I know that I have in the past and still am very good at not feeling things. Most of the time, when it's intense fear, even anxiety, I like to run from these things. I'll give you an example. Some major thing happened to me, medical thing. Okay, I had a brain tumor. This is obviously a big deal. It happens on a smaller scale all the time. But I had a brain tumor. I had to have surgery. This was when I was 21. And my like natural reaction to that was to go into complete shutdown. Emotional shutdown. I said, and I made some videos about it, but I said, like, I don't think I ever like cried once during the whole saga of a couple weeks beforehand, that I knew that from diagnosis to surgery it was only a couple weeks. There was no tears. I remember when, my parent was on the phone and she said, I woke up in the morning to the words, "You have a brain tumor." The doctor called. From that moment, it was like, droop. Because it was impossible to connect to that, like, truth and the level of fear and uncertainty, anxiety, sadness, anger, even why me type of stuff. Like, what? Just the fear of huge loss. Like, yeah, I could die, but very likely it was more like just other stuff would happen after surgery. Like, what did happen? Like, I couldn't hear anymore. Couldn't move my face quite right. Too scary, too much, man. So shut down. But that strategy, like, continues to be a strategy. I learned that at some point to not feel it. And I know plenty of other people who know how to not feel it. Don't feel it. So part of the work, if you want to call it that, part of coming alive is obviously learning to feel your body. Of course. Because there's gonna be some kind of like disconnect. If that's your style. Some people, they feel their feelings like constantly, and they don't have that ability at all. So it's almost too much. I am most of the time absolutely not like that. I'm a controller. That's the defense mechanism. Just be like, and then slowly, maybe over many years, explore some of those feelings and feel them much later. I think I cried 6 years down the road about what I had lost, quote unquote, from that medical experience. But it's the same thing. Like some of the stuff I went through with my parent who raised me, same thing. During, I was completely defended most of the time, cut off, because that was the only thing that was safe that I could do. Years and years later, like when I was in high school, that was the strategy. Years and years and years later, when I wrote about it and came to it and all the stuff, I cried. Because the feeling was of intense loss. And if you're not ready to feel it, you're not ready to feel it. If you have to defend against that, then defend against it. Okay. But I'm talking about that. That is kind of wild that we can do that, and that it then becomes one of those defense mechanisms or one of those things that hangs around when you don't really need it anymore, and it becomes a huge problem. Because when you're cut off from stuff, you can't feel a connection with another person either. Or maybe you're not so comfortable feeling even good in your body. That feels weird too. Or you're just so confused when you go into your body. You're like, what is this? What is this? What is this? It's like, oh my God. Or you just have this nausea feeling, this gnawing, when you go in there. It's not a pleasant feeling. You're carrying all this stuff around, and it's confused, and it's from years and years and years. And how do you make any sense out of it? It's so epic that it's not a wonder that most of us don't freaking want to do it. And instead, we continue our nice strategies of either not feeling them, cut it off, or use some drug so that you feel different. You force your body into a different state, and then you can it's numbed, or it feels spectacular because of chemistry. Or we do something else, play some games, watch a lot of TV, or combine all of these things. Smoke a little bit, watch some Netflix, drink some wine, whatever your thing is. We do these things instead of just sitting there, acting like a cat, sit there, and just feel it. We are some cut off people. And it's a hell of a balance to be able to feel all this stuff but not be overwhelmed. Because for a while, I know in my life, this stuff was overwhelming. So it needed all this help to be processed kind of in a safe way. It feels scary as hell because it's overwhelming. It's old, it's stuff that you've repressed, if you want to use that word. Stuff that you hid from when you were a kid because you couldn't freaking handle it. This is the basics of psychology and therapy and all this stuff. There's a reason why it's the basics of therapy. Because it's pretty much, it's what everybody's got to do. If you want to be comfortable here, sometimes, you got to be able to feel the stuff that's here if you want to be comfortable here. And if it's too overwhelming, you can't do it. So you'll be blocked. Make up some stories about it, how you're fine and all this stuff, but really you're carrying this deep mess inside. So you gotta kind of go through it. Come to terms with it, if those are the words. Accept it or whatever, if that's the word you like. Go through it. So that you can actually sit here and just sit here. And not be so uncomfortable. Or so cut off. And it's on a physical level too. I remember back in the day, I used to basically not feel cold. This is so weird. When I think about it now, I'm like shivering right now. I know that I am semi-cold. Like I'm gonna pile on my sweaters. You know, it was hot a little while ago. Now I'm cold. I know how my body feels. I'm connected to it. Back in the day, I just wear a t-shirt. Even when it was like cold out, and I'd be like, I'm not cold. Like, hunger is another thing. Some people don't feel their hunger. They just don't feel it. Until suddenly it's like raging, and then they feel it. Huge disconnects all over the place with the most basic thing about our experience. How we freaking feel. We're so up here that we don't even like experience ourselves. It is bizarre. The more I talk about it, the more bizarre it sounds. It's like when you really put words to it, it's freaking weird that we're walking around disconnected from ourselves, our experience, so often. At least that's been my experience doing that. But you know, we can come out of it. There's loads of stories. Everybody has stories of how they make progress in this way. So yeah. But I'm wishing you well today. Happy Sunday to you. And I hope this next week is great for you. All right, Joe.